Good morning, Grant. How are you?
Morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am excited to talk with you this morning. Grant Smith is running for state representative for District 77. Grant is more than just a working class Arkansan. He is a fierce advocate for the rights and well being of everyday individuals who face daily struggles. Born in Little Rock but raised in rural Saline County, Grant understands the challenges that so many in our state go through on a daily basis. After graduating from Sheridan High School, Grant furthered his education by completing trades at Job Corps. This not only equipped him with valuable skills, but also provided him with a deep understanding of the needs and concerns of working class individuals. Grant obtained certifications in office administration, as well as multiple certifications from Amtrak and TCU IAM throughout the pandemic, Grant proudly served as an essential worker, diligently fulfilling his responsibilities and contributing to the welfare of our community. As a proud member of the LGBTQ plus community, Grant understands the importance of equality and representation. He actively participates in rallies and events, standing not only with his community, but also with the Black Lives Matter movement and women's rights rallies. Grant believes in fighting for the fair rights and equality of all individuals, regardless of their background. Grant's vision for Arkansas encompasses a state where equity is not just an ideal, but a reality for every Arkansan. He recognizes that progress can only be achieved when everyone has access to opportunities and resources, regardless of their socioeconomic status, race, or gender. Thank you so much for being on Coffee with Democrats this morning.
Of course.
You are everywhere,
I
I
try.
have to say. You are. I see you throughout the state a lot. I just went to your campaign kickoff over the weekend, and that was so much fun. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
of
But I
course. I'm so
see
glad you're
you,
on me.
yes, and I saw you at my county party meeting, and I know that you go to a lot of different county party meetings, so you are all over the state getting to know a lot of people, and I love that about you. You're
Well,
very
thank you.
involved.
Well, it's important. I mean, different counties, different people have different aspects on things, and it's interesting to see what everybody has to say.
It is.
And they need support. I mean, they all need support, and we need to show them as much support as we can, no matter where we live. I mean, even if your district, it doesn't necessarily have all these different counties in it. However, when you make laws, they affect everybody in the state, as we've seen in Arkansas.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's really good to get everybody's different perspectives and see what their communities need. So I love that you're doing that. I wish we had more people like you doing that.
Hey, we'll get there one of these days.
We will. We will. Everybody take a
Hey,
listen
you're
to
one of them. You
Grant.
were at my event.
Yes. Well, I was very I'm thank you for inviting me. That
Of
meant a
course.
lot. It was really great to go out and support you. So you're running for office, you're running for District 77 there. And tell us a little bit about Grant and growing up. You grew up in rural Saline County. What was that like?
I mean, it was a little difficult. I mean, we didn't have a lot of, infrastructure. That we had a lot of, potholes in our roads, of course, as I'm sure you have that where you live too. But a lot of, it's hard to like a disconnect between the city and the rural areas. Like we don't have, didn't have very good internet access. I had to drive, ride the bus every day between 18 and 21 miles to school because, my area was unincorporated. So we had to go all the way to Sheridan, even though I was in rural Saline County, so I don't know. And we didn't have, we had wanted to go to Walmart. We had to go all the way either to Baseline Walmart or Bryant Walmart. It was, like a big disconnect, no public transportation. So,
Yeah,
I mean, and then of course I moved to Little Rock in 2020 and it was completely different. I was like, wow, this is so crazy. Like, why don't we have these opportunities everywhere? I mean, it's just wild to me.
Public transportation, that's a big, it's a game changer really for any
Yeah,
community.
absolutely. My friend, I had went and seen her the other day at the Clark County Democrats meeting, and she says that she'd love to go to the meetings, but she doesn't have a vehicle, and she lives about 30 minutes from the event in the same county. But I mean, it's definitely an issue, getting people connected. So it's a work in progress, but we can make it happen.
We can, we can. I think having people that understand how beneficial it is and how much it'll help a community would do rural communities a great deal of service. So it's
Absolutely.
great that but you actually, I mean, there's that joke that I had to, walk 5 miles barefoot up the hill to school, but you literally pretty much had to do that. Not barefoot necessarily, but you
Oh
had
Lord,
to.
I could tell you some stories. I literally had friends, and I literally had to ride my bicycle either to work or to see friends or whatever. Like literally, I mean, it was like one of my first jobs working in a daycare. And my mom, she got disabled when I was in high school, and so I rode my bike to work a couple times. But you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta make a living somehow and try to move on in life.
That's true. That's true. So what were some of your hobbies growing
I
up?
always like taking pictures of everything. Even in high school, I used to carry a camera around, and I have pictures to this day. Even my campaign manager now, we went to high school together, and she
Oh,
posted a picture the other day of us, and it was 12 years ago. I was like, oh my gosh, we look like children. But yeah, so I did that. I always like to go swimming. We had like a huge swimming pool in our backyard, and I always like nature. I used to, when I was younger, I used to like make parks in my backyard. I used to name the trails, the ponds, the creeks, and everything. Like and that's why I love Arkansas as well. And I even helped back in, was it early 2021 when Goldie Gaines had announced her campaign for state land commissioner. So I connected with her because like I said, I'm interested in Arkansas and nature and stuff like that. So that's why I got involved with that campaign. And I can want to continue that with my own. So
I love that. And I've noticed, um, I follow you on social media, and I noticed that you post a lot of pictures and videos of different trails, and your announcement video was also taken out in the wild, so
uh,
to speak. So I loved that.
what's more Arkansas than a waterfall in the background and the
Right.
beautiful woods?
Yep. I loved your video,
Well,
your announcement
thank you.
video. I will definitely attach it to this and share it with everyone so that they can get a chance to check it out.
And the weather too. I'm sure you've seen me post the weather over and over. I've thought about that in the past of getting involved in weather, and I was going to as when I was younger, but apparently we don't have a school in Arkansas where you can get a degree in meteorology. At least we didn't when I was growing up.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. We'll have to check into that. Maybe we can get one of the colleges to start a program.
Yeah,
So
we
what
deserve
got you?
opportunities.
What was that?
I said we deserve opportunities in all different kinds of areas
Absolutely.
here in Arkansas.
Absolutely. What got you involved in politics?
So it was back in 2020 with the whole, George Floyd protest and the pandemic and everything. I don't know. I just kept seeing on TV that there was rallies and protests happening in the Capitol. So I was like, hey, what is this about? You always hear drama and stuff on social media, and the media, sometimes makes it out to be a certain way. And you're like, okay, well, I wanted to go and see it in person for myself. So I went up there, and there was a bunch of people speaking, and one of the speakers in particular said that if you want to have better representation in Arkansas, then you have to vote for better. And I don't know what it was about that, but it resonated with me. And I immediately went afterwards, and they had a voter registration table across the street. And I went and got registered to vote. And I just kept continuing to go to rallies and different kinds of events. And I ended up helping some campaigns, and everybody kept saying, "Hey, you should run for office." I'm like, "No, I don't know about that." But I mean, eventually, I talked over with some people, and they're like, "Yeah, you should go for it. I think you'd be great." So I decided to go for it.
I love that. I love that. I I've always wondered, when we have things that happen in our country, in our state, our communities, um, that social change. And if that really, is able to inspire people to get registered to vote, to go out and vote. And I love hearing that what that person said at that time, and they had a registration booth for you to go register. I love hearing that. I know here in Arkansas, we really do need to get more people registered to vote and make sure that they get to the polls, regardless of party who you're voting for. Everybody deserves and needs to go and do that.
And it happened not just with that, but it happened with the reproductive rights rallies too. We would literally have a sign-in sheet when we did these rallies in Little Rock, and we'd have everybody sign up. Hey, if you want to learn more information about when we're having another rally, here's write down your contact information, and we'll get back with you. We also had voter registration forms there as well, so we did that, try to get more people involved because obviously they're really invested in making sure that we change things for the better in Arkansas. So there's a lot of different social events that definitely make a change for me, especially. That was something that really changed my life tremendously. So
So tell us a little bit about your platform and some things that you are very passionate about.
Most importantly, I think renters' rights is one of them because Arkansas is one of the only states in the U.S. without a minimum standard of habitability. So they don't have to like necessarily make it to where it's livable. Like we have slumlords in Arkansas. When I first started campaigning, I was asking all kinds of questions like, hey, what kind of issues, are going on here? And, I always ask people what are y'all's concerns because I didn't really know how to start off campaigning. So that's I don't know how everybody else does it, but I did it a certain way. I wanted to know people's concerns before I got really into it. So a lot of the time, I always heard different stories about landlords in Arkansas, and I wanted to bring those people's voices to the table because people deserve rights, renters' rights. And of course, healthcare is another huge one. Arkansas just kicked off more people off Medicaid than any other state in the US, and that's ridiculous. Healthcare should be a right, not a privilege to those that can afford it. And of course, we have all different kinds of issues like a living wage. Arkansas's minimum wage is $11 an hour now, and it's only because people put it on the ballot and made it happen. But it's maxed out at $11 an hour, and we still have the ability to raise that. And I did some research, and according to what I read, the living cost of living in Arkansas is now up to $15.50 an hour for a single person. Not even if you have kids, for a single person. So we got to do better than $11 an hour. I mean, there's just so many things I could talk about, and of course, healthcare when it comes to women as well. Arkansas literally doesn't have any exceptions for rape and incest now, and that's just common sense. We should have that, you know. And even Arkansas Democrats introduced a bill this past session, and they wanted to introduce exceptions for rape and incest, and Republicans still wouldn't vote for it. It's just ridiculous. And we just have so many issues like mass incarceration. Even we're the fifth highest incarcerated state in the U.S. We were the fourth, but I guarantee this $400 million package they passed for criminal justice reform or whatever she wants to call it, and it's just expanding the prison industry in Arkansas. And we already have, like I said, the fifth highest in the U.S. And there's so many different solutions for that, like increased access to mental health care services, legalizing marijuana, because a lot of the people in prison right now are just in there because they can't afford to pay their fines. And nonviolent offenses, just look it up. I mean, Washington County continuously posts about it because they were trying to expand the prison industry there. And the people literally voted on two ballot measures in Washington County, and they're still trying to do it anyways, regardless of what the people say. So that's just a few things that I wanted to touch on.
Yeah. And going back to the prisons, I read an article not too long ago, maybe over the summer, 3 months ago. And the article was talking about my county, Lonoke County, and they were asking residents to donate their land for a prison.
Oh, no.
And for me, how does that, I'm looking at how is that going to affect my county overall? But why are we building more prisons instead of, when we know this by data, that money can be better invested into the communities and in helping people not get into these systemic issues that we have going on that lead them into crime. Um, but you're absolutely right. I mean, the fact that there are so many people that just aren't able to pay their fees and their fines, and those just get added on and added on. They end up in jail.
And it's a continuous cycle. I mean, people keep going back and keep going back. Like we have this like a horrible rate in Arkansas of recidivism. It's terrible, and we got to do better than that.
We do, and we have the capabilities. We absolutely have the capabilities to do something about that. Um, I want to talk a little bit more about women's reproductive health, and the Democrats, introduced something, the exceptions for rape and incest. And there was a study that was done. You came to the Outrun Coalition training that we had just a few weeks ago. And I think I'm going to misquote it, but I think it was 65% of Arkansans agree that there should be
Yeah,
exceptions.
it was a really high number. I've seen different statistics, even a statistic that said only 11% or so, but believe in no exceptions. So I mean, it's a minority. I mean, literally. And I don't know if you've heard or not, but they're working on getting a ballot measure on the ballot for reproductive rights. So I hope they do.
I would love
People
that.
deserve a say in it. I mean,
We do. And we've seen in every state that has actually let the voters decide, the voters overwhelmingly have decided that they do not want the government to have
right.
any restrictions or any limitations on reproductive health care.
Exactly. So hopefully we get that on the ballot.
I would love that. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. Did you follow what happened with Learns?
Yes, I was actually on the team Capes that got signatures to try to overturn the Learns Act. So that's a very
Awesome.
important thing. I mean, in Little Rock here, we've seen the devastating effects of turnover to the state, with the Little Rock School District, and finally we got it back. And I'm actually in Pulaski County Special School District here where I'm at in Little Rock. But those include rural areas too. And as we know, the Learns Act is going to negatively affect our rural areas, especially because, it's hard to sustain. I mean, it's great to give teachers a pay increase, but I mean, that you have to have enough money to sustain that. In the states, it's claimed they were going to pay for it, but looks like they're having to dig into different things, cut different programs at different schools in order to do so. I heard a couple months ago that they were having to some school was having to cut their football team potentially because of the Learns Act. It's just ridiculous. And, I also heard that one of the Republican representatives even said that the rich people want vouchers and they're going to get what they want. I mean, he literally said that. So, and as we've seen recently, I think it was last week, they posted which schools are going to get the most money from this. And it was two schools in Little Rock, even. It was Little Rock Christian Academy and Pulaski Academy were one of the two highest ones. And what's interesting about that is, according to someone on the comment section, they said that Sarah's kids go to Little Rock Christian. So I wonder why they got the most.
Right. I did see a graph of where the vouchers that have been given went to, and it was overwhelmingly in central Arkansas. And the number of children that were given vouchers that went from public school into a private school was extremely low compared to the amount of vouchers that were given out. So those
I've
vouchers,
also heard they're increasing the tuition after doing that too. So
they did increase. Yeah, several schools did increase their tuition, which we kind of expected,
yeah,
Um, but the fact that they marketed this as an option for public school children who would like to go into public school or private school, um, And then you see the percentage of children that went from public to private versus the amount of private school children that utilize the vouchers. Kind of just blows their claim and their talking point out of the water, in my opinion.
For sure. I mean, and it was really good to see everybody come together for Capes. They got really close to their goal, you know. They said if we got one more day, maybe we could have made it. But I mean, a lot of people from all different kinds of backgrounds came together. I know I personally drove all over the place getting signatures, even in really rural areas. I was surprised. I got messages saying, "Hey, can you come meet me and get the signature to put the Learns Act on the ballot?" I mean, I stood at the library in Saline County even and getting signatures. And there were all kinds of people asking questions about it. What is this? I haven't heard about this yet. I mean, it's just hard. Like I said, it's hard to get information out in those rural areas. But we did a really good job and brought all kinds of people together. I've seen polls about the Learns Act, even it's not popular.
Yeah.
So I really, they're wanting to get an education reform bill on the ballot, is what I heard from Capes recently. So I hope they do that to somewhat curb some of the stuff in the Learns Act. So fingers crossed there. Hopefully they can.
Yes, that would be so amazing because I think everybody in Arkansas can agree that we need a change and we need something different when it comes to education. We're at the bottom nationally when it comes to education, but this Learns Act isn't it. It's just not it.
It's not, and I've actually heard of a few teachers that are wanting to right now. I mean, because of this. So I mean, that speaks volumes here, in my opinion.
Absolutely, it does. Oh, so how important is it for Democrats to organize in rural Arkansas?
Is very important. I mean, everybody has a voice and everybody deserves to be heard. I was a blue dot in a red area when growing up. I mean, and there's plenty of other people like that too, and those people deserve to be heard as well. I mean, everybody's voice coming to the table is so important for our democracy to thrive. I mean, we only get better when we have more voices at the table. I mean, the other day we had went to Clark County, and me and my friend that I said that lives out way out in rural Arkansas, we had went there and we were like, hey, we noticed that y'all don't have a lot of active social media. What can we do to fix that? Is there a reason for that? And they're like, yeah, we don't really have anybody that is good in that area. And my friend, she does that for a living. Like she creates websites and does all kinds of web designing. So she said that she helped them with that. I mean, it's as simple as bringing
Yeah,
one more person to the table, and then there you go. You got a lot of the issues solved, and you can reach a lot more people through different platforms. So I mean, that's one example of how you can make a difference just that quick.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean I, everybody's on social media, at least on one platform: Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Threads. Now there's so many to choose from. Um,
Right.
so yeah, just having that social media and it's free, and having somebody that can post different things about what's going on in the county, different meetings, that helps and just allows people to get involved.
And I learned something recently that you can also put something in the newspaper. You can write your own little editorial. You can invite people and say, "Hey, I'm having this meeting whenever," and just let them know. I mean, I didn't know you could do that. So, I mean, it's something I might take advantage of myself.
You should. Yeah, definitely. What do you have coming up with the campaign?
Of course, campaign filing is November the 6th through the 13th, I believe. So of course I'm getting ready for that. You know, trying to get more cards and stuff finalized. I have cards from last year. I just, I need to update a little bit of the information since, we did do some education changes. So I want to obviously be able to update that. And other than that, I mean, I'm getting ready to start doing some canvassing. I'm excited for that. I just got Van Access last week, and I've noticed a lot of the information is not up to date. So I'm looking forward to updating some information and getting to meet more people. And of course, all kinds of events coming up across the next couple months. So I'm excited to be attending those as well. That's pretty much it for now.
But that's a lot.
Yeah, it can be a lot, but
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun though.
it is. And there are a lot of events. I love fall in Arkansas because there's always festivals and just events to go to. And spend a lot of money. I can't say
Right.
no to people's stuff. Like you'll see someone's craft things, and I can't say no to them. So
Right.
those are
But
great.
I mean, but people do need to know it's very close, like 20 something days left till candidate filing. So if anybody else is considering running, feel free to message me. I'll be happy to let you know how my experience went and what it takes to get on the ballot. So feel free to reach out.
I hope some people do. I know that we still have some districts that need candidates, and we want to make sure that we have a Democrat running in every seat, every race.
Absolutely. I mean, some good news. I want to point out some good news here. They said at the Lonoke County Democrats meeting, remember, that we already have more people considering running than we did this time last year for the whole election. So, I mean, I think we're doing great already, especially with the ballot measures. Those always increase turnout. So, hopefully, we can get some of those on the ballot too. I heard the Period Poverty Project got approved yesterday for their ballot measure title. So, that's gonna, of course, get rid of the sales tax on feminine products if we get it on the ballot. So that's awesome. Let's get it
That would
done,
be
y'all.
great. Yes, I love that. I love that. There's so many different ballot initiatives that I'm hearing about, and I can't even express how much I love ballot initiatives. It
Right.
gives us regular people a chance to make some real change and not have to wait for these politicians to push something through. We're able to just take it into our own hands. So
And
it,
ballot measures, I mean, can be very bipartisan. I mean, I literally have family members that are Republicans, and they still voted the exact same way as I did with the ballot measures last year. So, I mean, it's very important. Makes a difference. But some people will literally vote for ballot measures and not anything else. I mean, this is something to get people out to vote. And then if they're there and they're like, hey, what else is on my ballot? They can vote for candidates too. I mean, I hope they will.
yeah. So do you need any volunteers to
Oh
help
yeah,
with
I'm
the
I'm
campaign?
obviously open, absolutely, to more volunteers because I could use some. We're about to start canvassing, like I said, trying to get people out to the polls. Of course, February is when early voting starts, and March 5th is the election date for the primaries. And primaries are so important, y'all. I'm urging y'all to vote in primaries because that makes a huge difference. I know last year in our election, we only had about 18% turnout, which is not good. I mean, there's literally 16,000 registered voters, and we maybe had a little under 4,000 for the whole election. So I'm just saying we got to do better, y'all. I mean, Arkansas had literally the lowest turnout in the U.S. in 2020 for the presidential, and in 2022 was about 52%, 51, something like that. And a lot of the people didn't have a choice on their ballot, so we already are improved on that, and I'm so excited to see how things go. And it's going to get people motivated when you see stuff like ballot measures and actual choices on your ballot. I mean, that gets people motivated. So I'm excited.
It really does. It does get people motivated because they feel like they're part of the process. I know for me, when I know that just regular people have rallied for and behind an issue and done all that work, because it's not easy to have something put on the ballot. We've seen that. We saw that with Learns. And so to do all of that work, it's commendable.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're lucky. We still have that ability to do so. I talked to a friend of mine that lives in Texas, and they don't have ballot measures anymore. So, I mean, we need to utilize what we have here. And I mean, this is so important. It makes people's lives change for the better. As we've seen with the minimum wage increases, medical marijuana, so many different things we put on the ballot. I know they're making it harder now by pushing these dates back to get signatures, but we can overcome that. We literally voted against making it harder to pass ballot measures twice now,
Yeah.
and they still voted this session to make it harder, regardless of what the people said twice. So I'm just saying we got to get together and tell them this is not acceptable. And the only way to do that is to get involved in different campaigns, even if that campaign is to get signatures for, let's say, recreational marijuana, for education reform, for FOIA law reform, where there's one for that too. So, and reproductive rights, of course, and cutting the sales tax on feminine products. Whatever is your forte, get behind one and help people out because it will make a huge difference in our elections and the state, period.
And that goes beyond party lines as well.
It really does.
Regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, being able to have that much influence and that much, your hand that much in directly in your government and how it works should be something that we all strive and want to do and have absolutely no barriers, not absolutely no barriers, but the least amount of barriers in place to be able to do that. So to see them push this through last session after we said no twice, that really pissed me off personally. I'm sure I wasn't the only one.
No, I mean, remember that one Republican senator up in northern Arkansas even filed a lawsuit against it. So, I mean, this is bipartisan. People are against this. They don't agree with it. So, we got to elect people that will not do that to us, people that actually care about our democracy. And I think we have a good chance of this coming election.
I do too. I think enough people have seen what happens when you're not involved and when you don't go vote and when you don't have options, and that they've stepped up and they're helping out in any way that they can. So I
I mean,
think
not just in like state races like mine, but the JP races. You saw what happened in Saline County with the library. That was because of JPs. I mean, people literally did not know that JPs. Some people, I'm being serious. Some people did not know JPs did anything but marry people. They're like, oh wow, they can really overturn a library like that. I mean, yes, they can. I mean, every election has consequences. We saw in Conway with the school board on the anti-LGBTQ rhetoric they did there, and they lost their jobs. We got two progressive minded folks in there in Conway. I mean, it just takes work to put in. I know we didn't win some of those elections there and the past election before that, but those connections that we made knocking doors in that area made a huge difference the next election. So, I mean, it's all building a branch. So,
it is. And I love it. It was so relieving to see what Conway was able to do, because I was seeing so many videos coming out of their school board meetings, and um, that was another kind of trigger for me to get involved, was seeing those videos and seeing the children and how that affects children. So it just was so, it filled my heart with joy to see that the community really made their voices heard and said, we're not doing this. We are not doing this.
no, they were continuously embarrassed. They were really, not happy about it, and they voted him out. I mean, and we can do that all over the state. So let's do it, y'all.
We can. We can. And I have one last question for you. What does the perfect Arkansas look like to you?
Well, the perfect Arkansas looks like people have renters' rights. Everybody is treated equal, regardless of the differences with race, gender, sexual identity, orientation. Everybody deserves a living wage. We can make that happen in Arkansas. People will have access to their own bodies without government interference. People will be able to have health care. I mean, there's so many things that people deserve in Arkansas: broadband, public transportation, clean food and water, infrastructure. I mean, there's so many things that Arkansas could have and will have when we have our seat at the table. So let's make it happen, y'all.
I love it. Thank you so much, Grant.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. And I wish you so much luck with your campaign. I will help however I can. And I am definitely going to get some volunteers together. I know a group of people that are really, really eager to jump in and help with a campaign. So
Sweet.
I'm going to do this.
Yes. And if you want to learn more about my campaign, you can go to grantforarkansas.com.